It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. As we move into Liberation Day.
My gosh, there's so much to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
First, some sad news. New York Times, New York Post reporting that actor Val Kilmer has died at the age of 65. Wow.
Yeah.
What a career he had. Great actor.
For me, everything goes back to a couple of movies, Die Hard and Tombstone. And if you think about, his acting over the years, for me, it goes back again. There are certain things that become kind of iconic, but in Tombstone, it was just unbelievable. The Saint was a great movie, I thought, for its time. I don't think it did well very well in the box office. I could be wrong. I'll have to go back and look. Was it Elizabeth Shue, I think, was in that? But The Saint was a great movie.
The Saint was a great movie. I loved, my favorite Val Kilmer movie is Thunderheart.
I loved that movie because of the feel of the movie and also, him as a young agent and trying to, all right, do I need to follow the directive or follow, the whole right thing to do? But it was just this, murder mystery is always a good movie.
Well, and the cinematography of that one being in the Badlands.
The scenery.
His chemistry with Graham Greene.
And I love Graham Greene. He pulled that all together.
Yeah.
He had some comic relief kind of lines in there in setting Val Kilmer's character straight a couple of times, and then they ended up being, friends by the end.
Yeah, Graham Greene trying to figure out what he knew about Native American history,
it's
what he knew about their customs and everything else, and Kilmer's characters, trying to BS his way through.
Yeah. It's it's I don't know, it's really sad also watching somebody that's recognized that's kind of in the anyone that go through what he's gone through in battling, and I haven't seen anyone list the cause of death, but we know he's been sick for years.
New York Times says pneumonia.
Okay. So another thing was the documentary they did a few years ago.
Oh, man.
And he talked about having a date night with his daughter and all these things. And by all accounts, everybody that talks about him that knew him says that Val Kilmer was just the nicest person.
Well, there was the stuff on there he even talked about. It was in the documentary of the sets that he was on where he did not get along with the directors.
Yeah.
And there was friction with the actors, but when I think of Val Kilmer, it's really not any of the movies that he has done. And I'll post it here on Twitter coming up in a little bit. It's really just a outtake. It's not part of Tombstone. Mm-hmm. And it's Val Kilmer with my friend Buck Taylor, the great character actor Buck Taylor, newly on Gunsmoke. What was he? A neighbor? I can't remember the character's name in Tombstone.
Yeah,
but a prominent role in Tombstone has been in just everything. You look at anything from the 60s and 70s. Buck Taylor was in everything, and if you see his face, I still love
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone, yeah, I liked him. I liked him in the beginning though of Cowboys and Aliens.
Cowboys and Aliens.
Him and his two sons. They're at the beginning scene of Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah,
but I had talked to Buck about him in the past, and he said he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And if you know Buck Taylor says you're a good guy, you're a good guy.
Yeah.
There's
right. Yeah.
Because Buck is salt of the earth. But there's this scene where they're riding the horses, and they're getting ready to ride the horses. Mm-hmm. And there's Val Kilmer, and he's just, they're not in character. Right. And they're just sitting there getting ready to take off on the horses together to be riding wherever they're riding.
Right.
And Val Kilmer looks at Buck Taylor and says, "I love you, Buck." And Buck looks back. He goes, "I love you too, Val." And it's just, I mean, I may be paraphrasing here. That may not be the exact quote, but that's what it. I'll post it here because it's on. It's actually on YouTube, and I love that because when I first met Buck Taylor, he came up to me. He was a fan of my local show here when I did it in Dallas Fort Worth, going all the Fort Worth Dallas. No, it is Dallas Fort Worth now, isn't it? That used to be a controversy of where WBAP was located.
Right.
It used to be in Fort Worth, and it went to Dallas, and there was all this controversy of, wait a minute, because sometimes there's a love-hate relationship between Dallas and Fort Worth, but
I don't know why.
and he had come up to me. And I didn't I said, this guy looks familiar, but everybody's a cowboy there. I was at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo doing my live broadcast of my local show when he walked up, and there was somebody afterwards came, walking up to me and said, "Do you know who that was who was talking to you?" And I said, he said, "Buck." He goes, "That's Buck Taylor, the great character actor." I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He said, "Newly on Gunsmoke?" He goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, oh, my God. So after I was, had break or done with the show, I went down, because he was selling his Western art. Buck's one of the world's premier Western artists, probably the best American Western artist that there is.
Yeah,
just as incredible. And I have a Buck Taylor, a limited print. Even the print and the frame was quite expensive back 25 years ago when I bought it, but it hangs proudly. And after I got to know Buck for a while, and again, I would only see him 2-3 times a year, he told me one time, he said, "You know something? If it was a different place or different time, we would have been good friends." And then Buck just looks at me and goes, "I love you." And I said, "I love you too, Buck." And from that point on, it was always, when I would see him, that would be what we would say. And it was like, it's just too bad we are in different worlds. Right. And it is, you get in different worlds and you meet people. But the fact that he expressed that to me meant the world to me. And so when I saw that years later, it was just a couple of years ago, I saw that outtake. That to me was just precious. I went, oh, that's just awesome. That Val Kilmer looks at Buck Taylor and says, "I love you, Buck." And I'll post it because it is really, it is really heartwarming. So that really, to me, it's not the movies. It was that moment with my friend Buck that always will stay with me.
It makes me wonder if the frustration on the set with directors or other actors could be that, I don't know, they were pushing buttons. I don't know. Who knows? I know that in the latest Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick, that scene between him and Tom Cruise, it probably wasn't very hard to conjure up tears.
No.
Knowing at that point, Tom Cruise knowing what Val Kilmer had been through. And it was obvious on the screen. I mean, they kind of wrote it into the role. And then the character, there's a development with that character that was, even more sad. It goes on, and it was just too much of a parallel to real life, for Val Kilmer to not have a massive impact, But
and he had to be in the movie.
You couldn't.
To
you
me,
really
he
couldn't
had
do it.
to be.
You
he
can't
had
do
to
it
be
if you.
there.
Yeah, you can't do it if he's available. It's got to be done.
And you could see the loyalty, the love, and respect that the two characters, had for each other. That there was a genuine admiration, for each other, even though Tom Cruise was considered the screw-up, right?
Right, yeah. Well, it's, one of the most impressive things I've ever seen on a big rig, there is a truck called Doc Holliday, and the artwork, the murals done, it's everywhere. Underneath the hood of the big rig, there are little murals everywhere, and the sayings from all the catch lines from the movie Tombstone that Doc Holliday said. And it's everywhere on the truck. It's all throughout. And those are those kind of roles that you want where it just has that impact, right? And it wasn't like the superhero movies that do billions of dollars at the box office. It found its audience. Tombstone found its audience, and I think without Val Kilmer, Kurt Russell would still be great, but the Doc Holliday character, the real Doc Holliday was from here. It was from Dallas, a dentist in Dallas. And, so there was that local connection. I found that out, I don't know, several years after I first watched the movie. But to me, one of the greatest Westerns out there. And it tells a story, and all the actors, you got Sam Elliott, you got everybody in the movie that you need. And it's, he kind of pulled that together. Also, some comic relief from Doc Holliday.
Oh, he was great.
I mean, the twirling of the cup.
That just came
after
up.
Johnny Ringo did his twirling of the gun.
I had it on random just 2 days ago. It was
the short clip on
Sunday?
YouTube.
Yeah, the short clip on YouTube came up just in random shuffle.
Yeah,
because I'll just let YouTube go.
Yeah,
it'll be a video one time, then something going on in the Senate, and then it just as I'm doing show prep on my phone, YouTube is just going through stuff.
Right,
and that scene came up with the cup, and I forgot how funny that was.
Yeah, it was really good.
Great,
really good.
And the other thing is, for me, when I remember when I saw The Doors, I just thought it was. Again, the story of the Doors. What was it? Was the drummer? Was that Densmore? Was the drummer Densmore?
The Doors.
Yeah,
I'm not the biggest Doors fan. I think it's yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
It was
Thank you, Ron.
It was Densmore who was talked about Jim Morrison and just said he was drunk.
Yeah.
He doesn't play into the romance of the whole thing with it.
Yeah.
He never did. And I'll never forget that. And I just thought I didn't. The Doors to me at that point, not that they didn't produce good music, but I just thought, it's just sleazy. That was when this is just sleazy. But when you set that aside and just look at the performance of Kilmer, it is really good.
He became Jim Morrison.
Yeah, he did.
He became Jim Morrison, and that's probably the role, along with Doc Holliday. Those are probably two of the biggest roles where he disappeared into the role. You forget you're watching Val Kilmer. That's tough to do for a lot of actors. I just think that if you're going to do a movie, that should be the goal. Get in there and just become the character. And people forget they're watching this celebrity or that celebrity. You got to really portray that character well. But I think Jim Morrison, he just absolutely
killed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
But breaking news: Val Kilmer has passed away at the age of 65. But it's again just very sad. He moved away from Hollywood.
He wanted to run for governor of New Mexico before he got throat cancer.
Yeah. Got some land in New Mexico, just wanted to kind of live a peaceful life. I've been watching or seeing more stories of more celebrities doing that. Why I left Hollywood. You don't have to tell us why. We know. A lot of them don't live in Hollywood. And I don't know. I'm thinking, because it's also California. Massive taxes. Could be. I don't know.
Well, what a show we've got coming up today.
What a day.
What a day it was. And it's one of those days where it's like, where do we start?
Oh, my gosh.
Because there was so much, the special elections in Florida, the Supreme Court.
In Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin, and what it means. Look, sometimes we tend to over-analyze these early races, but there are cautionary warnings for the Republicans.
You and I have been saying that. I mean, I think the first cautionary warning was the slim majority that they won, the fact that they won just a slim majority in November of 24. So, because that presents the problems that, again, brings up this election in Florida and everything else, all the issues that you need the entire party for. We said it yesterday, and then what happened on yesterday's show, and then during the day yesterday, you saw the fallout. There's going to be a number of issues where you're going to get a handful of the GOP not on board with you. if you've got a very clear majority, then you have a little more luxury. But the fact is that the GOP has nothing. They have to be gelled. And that's if they continue to win, if they win at the midterm. I don't know if the majority is going to increase, but it's not going to be a massive majority. It's not going to be this huge red wave. I don't believe that. So they're always going to have this issue. The party has to come together. And the head of the party is Donald Trump.
Here we go. 866-90-RED-EYE.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Cold weather takes a toll on trucks. As warmer weather rolls in, it's time to assess the impact winter has had on your vehicle to help avoid downtime and keep your rig rolling through to next winter. Spring temperature swings can cause your tire pressure to fluctuate. Start your spring maintenance routine by checking your tire pressure and make sure your tires are properly inflated based on the load you're hauling. Underinflated tires cause premature wear, reduced fuel economy, and premature tire failures. Take care of your tires now before you find yourself stranded roadside this spring.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome, and thanks for being here this morning. So where do we start? I want to start with Wisconsin. Want to start with the races in Florida. Races in Florida were won handily, but not as much as previously won. Mm-hmm. And, of course, in Wisconsin, you could say it's a mixed bag because the liberal justice won by 10 points. But when you look at it, I got to go back and check. I think it's close to 30 points that voter ID. Yeah. Voter ID was, basically inscribed into the Constitution of Wisconsin now.
Right.
So everybody's trying to analyze this of how it will affect the midterms.
Voter ID, and here's the results so far.
25?
With more than 95% of the votes in. It was 62.7% yes, 37.3% no.
So 25 points.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, those are absolute landslide numbers, which means roughly 35% of people that said we need a liberal justice voted for voter ID.
Right.
You look and you see that, again, it's tough. It's tough for any of us if we're not in the state and you don't see the commercials that are running and you don't see what's going on in the media and how social media there is covering it. It's tough to get a handle on it. Right. I can give you a number of things that, of course, came into it, and it wasn't talked a lot, but you know as well as I do, liberals were saying we need to keep abortion rights in Wisconsin.
Right, yeah.
And if there's a Supreme Court justice, it could be that is a constructionist, conservative, whatever, that might be gone. Mm-hmm. The personality aspect of it, I don't know how much the negative feelings of Elon Musk, the negative or positive feelings, had to do with any of it. I don't know, but I do know that on the 80-20 issues, like voter ID, landslide.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thanks for being here. Just let you know, I posted that outtake from Tombstone with Val Kilmer and my friend Buck Taylor at Gary Red Eye 1 if you want to check it out. At Gary Red Eye 1. It's not even any of the movies. It's Val Kilmer turning to my friend Buck Taylor and saying, I love you. That it just gets to me. It always does.
Yeah.
Because when you're a friend of Buck, that's what you say to him.
Yeah.
So I posted that. So there you go. All right, going to Florida. Trump-endorsed Republican State Senator Randy Fine emerged victorious in one of 2 special elections in Florida Tuesday night. Fine will be taking over for Congressman Mike Waltz's seat in Florida's 6th Congressional District after Waltz vacated the seat to become President Donald Trump's national security advisor, at least for now. All right, I added that one.
Yeah.
Fine outlasted Democrat Josh Well, a public school employee and political newcomer who raised nearly 10 times more money than Fine did.
Wow.
Wow. Wow, that's
interesting.
10
times.
And I did not see any type of debate. I didn't see any commercials. I did see a ton of Republicans who did not think Fine was a good candidate.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that, but I was thinking on that, on the money that you have to spend, because there was a lot made about in Wisconsin about the money that was spent there. It's reported Elon Musk spent $25 million in the state. George Soros also spent money. But we've said for the longest time, it's not the money, it's the message. But it's also, right now, reality. So it could be that Fine, or let's just say any candidate, and assume that the candidate is weak, well, they can still ride the wave of the honeymoon period from Trump, especially in a state like Florida. You can still do that. Question is, can you do that in November of next year? And will the honeymoon be over? What effects will be in play? There's a lot that's, the media is always, well, this could be an indicator. Well, it might be. But it's what we talked about earlier. For us, it's about where the GOP is. The slim margin. That's going to be your problem for a while, because I don't expect that margin to increase by much if they keep the House next year. And so you're going to have to fight to keep the party together on the Trump agenda. And it's kind of all over the place. You and I have been asking about reconciliation. What happens there? If you tell conservatives, fiscal conservatives that want to really get into the cuts, especially in the age of Doge, that during the continuing resolution, hold on, and you can fight later at reconciliation. Well, can they?
Then in the other race in Florida, Republican Jimmy Patronis, former Florida chief financial officer, won the former seat held by Matt Gaetz. Mm-hmm. Trump won it by 37 points, that district, in 2024. Mm-hmm. Patronis won it by 15. And so those are all the warning signs that are out there for Republicans, and this is why we have stated over and over again. Now, it is when you look at the things that are 80-20, and I know it's not that. I know that wasn't the case for voter ID. It was 25 points, but we just use that narrative because it's become well known. The issues that are landslide is what you win on.
Yeah. Right.
And the majority of issues that the Republicans stand for is landslide numbers that independents will come along with you. Understand, as we've said before, it is 10 to 20 million voters that make that difference.
Yeah.
And so personality matters. the thing is with Trump, what happened, Trump became someone that people didn't like, where then they saw what was going on with lawfare and he became a sympathetic figure to many people.
Mm-hmm.
People live in the bubble of the day, though.
Yeah.
They live in the bubble of the day, and as you can see, the things that they vote for. I mean, it's no surprise if abortion had something to do with it in Wisconsin. That's not a surprise that she won.
Right.
It's not a surprise at all.
Right.
If it comes to personalities, I don't know. I know the left hates Elon Musk, but for America, and that's why we believe Elon Musk and the Doge people should be out there promoting it, because if you see it, you can't disagree with it. As we said already last Thursday, when he had the Doge people with him, I went, that's an 80-20 interview.
Yeah.
Every independent's going to watch it and go,
yeah.
oh, okay, I've changed on Elon Musk. He's really put together a great thing. You've got to market it day in and day out. The other thing you cannot do, and we've warned Republicans on this, you cannot overpromise and underdeliver. You cannot come out as they were doing. You don't hear anything anymore about $5,000 coming back to you. You don't hear it. That's gone.
Right.
Don't do that. And it was funny because when we said that, we had a couple of our great listeners write to us and say, no, underpromise and overdeliver.
Exactly.
in anything. My point is always, well, just be honest. Just be honest and deliver. Build trust in people. What we tell you is what we're actually going to do. But we have put the warning out that there is no, there's a great big thing. Is there a mandate? Was it a landslide? And we understand that Trump took, every purple state.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. And that was a great victory for him, an unbelievable comeback. But remember, Trump, let me see, his numbers were better than the majority of people in the House and Senate, Republicans, what they won by. He won by more.
Right.
And there's a problem there. And Scott Jennings brought it up yesterday or 2 days ago about Wisconsin. He said, you got to understand, people went and voted for Trump, and they didn't vote for anybody else.
Right.
So you've got people out there that voted for Trump and don't understand Trump can't do anything unless he has the people behind him. And they called them low, what do they call them? Low propensity voters?
Propensity, yeah.
Yeah. And that they only voted for Trump and didn't care that he needs somebody else to do it. Well, those are fickle voters.
Well, they're driven
by the emotion of the moment.
Well, the emotion carries them, the confidence carries them, but it also says something about the lack of confidence in the GOP itself. Yeah. Whether it's somebody who is, let's say, a populist, or somebody like us, if we're a conservative. I'm a conservative. If somebody is a conservative and they don't have confidence in the GOP, I mean, that's been going on for a long time. Since about the time you and I began together, we've been getting, that little bit of kickback, not so much these days, but especially in 2005. You came in and I thought your head was going to explode in the pre-show meeting. Tom DeLay said, you Republicans need to shut up. We've cut all we can cut. Here goes the new guy. I'm going to have to call somebody.
And then they got whooped in 2006.
Well, and
remember, they got
exactly.
Whooped.
And the drivers are the psychology is impossible to nail down, except for in 24 when you look at reality, right? The economy, the border. I mean, those are
the two dominant issues.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
But the confidence in, like we had a caller yesterday saying, they're going to show up at the midterm because they don't want the border to be open again if the Democrats get control of the House or whatever. No, that was Trump on the border. He carried that. The GOP in the House, look, they came along for the ride, but Trump has owned the border topic since his first run in 2016.
He's owned it since, I don't know, the 70s?
If you go back and apply everything, yeah. No, that's a good point. And so when you break it down, the psychology, the driver to get people there and excited. Well, first of all, midterms are boring. It's the only way to put it, right? That's the if you want to pare it down to one word, boring. In that there's not a lot of excitement except for in the group of us that follow along and know where the numbers are and are on top of the issues every day. But not everybody lives that. And that's the other thing too. There are a lot of people that showed up in November of 24, and I think in November of 2016, November of 2020, because Trump was on the ballot, and that confidence in him far outweighed anything I've seen for the GOP in a long time. I mean, the GOP as a whole, if you separate it from him, the party from him, they just haven't been able to perform in that way. And so he outperformed in 24, many in the GOP. And in 26, there's going to be, you're already seeing it. You're seeing the fracturing right now of the concerns of, all right, what about the fiscal conservatives? Look, they were saying for the continuing resolution that some fiscal conservatives should be primaried.
Yeah.
Next year.
Right. Trump was leading the charge. Wasn't he leading the charge for a little bit to replace Chip Roy?
Yeah.
To have Chip Roy primaried. It was like, with who?
With who? And hold on. Aren't we all wanting the same thing?
Right. He Chip Roy's saying, I want to cut. I'm the one that's saying you got to cut. You keep saying you're going to do it. And look, we know the conservatives and Republicans are antsy. You see it every day on social media.
Right.
Look, I support everything, but there's a lot of talk, but on a variety of different issues. You know, why aren't we going after these mayors for sanctuary cities? You said they're breaking the law. If they're breaking the law, Department of Justice should go after them.
Right. The Doge cuts. Let's get on the Doge cuts, which again has you and I very anxious about reconciliation. Where does it end up?
What came up yesterday in reconciliation? And I was like, wow. The first thought to me was reconciliation when it came out 2 days ago that inside the Trump administration, they're talking about raising taxes on the rich to provide the tax breaks, for me.
Yeah.
For no tax on Social Security, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime.
Right.
So let's tax those rich SOBs so I can get mine.
Exactly.
No, what I meant was...
Hey, wait a minute. Hold on. That would mean Mark Cuban would be paying for your retirement.
But you saw it immediately, which you saw it immediately from conservatives saying, wait a minute, Trump said no taxes, going to lower taxes for everybody.
Right.
And now, and then there was like, yeah, but the play is if Trump can tax the rich, then you take that away from the Democrats.
Right.
Well, I don't think you're going to get conservatives to buy taxing the rich.
Well, you know what it gets...
I mean, they don't want any tax increases.
You know what it gets down to is something you and I discussed in the pre-show meeting. The why, right? The purpose. Identify the problem, the issue, whether it's on tariffs, taxes, where you want to go with the economy. Because you can be on the same page, everybody wanting the same thing, but if you want it for a different reason, if you have identified it for a different problem or again, set of reasons, then you have a different approach, and there could be, again, more fracturing within the party. You can't have that. You don't have that kind of margin. I'm really anxious about the rest of this Trump term because he won in a massive, the biggest political comeback in American history, and I don't want it to just be gone.
Fizzle, yeah.
I want it to mean something.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's our Karoline, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Coming up here on the show, we've got so much to talk about. Some interesting articles. The new San Francisco program backed by Governor Newsome that will issue speeding tickets based on income.
I'm sorry, officer. I'm unemployed.
I'm poor. We'll get to that, but just overall, everything that happened yesterday. You saw the New York Post story on Lutnick.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That, on the whole tariffs, he's throwing out crazy ideas and everything else.
Loose cannon,
and he needs to shut up about saying, well, if we go into recession, that's okay with the tariffs.
Yeah,
like,
he can't say these things, right? Yeah.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, he is Eric Harley. I am Spartacus. I'm
New record.
I'm Gary McNamara. New record. There was a new record.
Did you see the post by Ted Cruz?
No, I'm looking at the Babylon Bee.
Oh.
Cory Booker hosts 24-hour public service announcement on the dangers of crystal meth. In a brave move hailed by political analysts as an inspiring display of courage, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker embarked on a straddling anti-drug crusade by holding a 24-hour live public service announcement on the dangers of crystal meth. Taking the Senate floor, Booker gave a raw, uncensored demonstration to the American people of the dangers of methamphetamine use as he stood at the lectern and gave a wild-eyed speech full of flailing appendages, mouth frothing, and unintelligible shouting.
Oh, my gosh, that's funny.
You know, the thing is?
Nobody cares?
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Ted Cruz yesterday posted on X, as Cory Booker approaches my 21-hour filibuster record, I'm contemplating pulling the fire alarm. And it has a picture from the Jamal Bowman picture from the security cam of pulling the fire alarm. And, it's – I looked at it and it was like, it's fodder for, memes. Nobody cares. No one cares.
Well, there was, as somebody pointed out, they didn't break any filibuster record. There wasn't a filibuster.
It's not a filibuster.
It's not a filibuster.
No.
There wasn't anything that he was protesting.
Nope.
He just wanted to get up there. He wants to run for president. That's it.
Exactly.
He wants to get some publicity.
And I thought to myself, because I think you said that on the air yesterday, and I thought to myself, okay, so what do you get, right? What do you carry if you're Cory Booker? What do you carry away with you? How does that translate? And it doesn't. I mean, you put that in his ad. He once talked for 25 hours straight. Well, so did Eric Harley. That's just because he won't shut up.
We've talked for 25 hours straight every week.
Exactly.
There's nothing new here.
There's nothing new here. 25 hours, please. You're not Spartacus. You're a rookie. You did it once?
Did it once.
Try doing it every day.
I just went, they keep thinking that imagery and virtue signaling when they suck on the issues is going to make a difference.
Right. No, that's it. It's I don't know. If you're going to do something, make it count. Make it translate into results for you in a way that matter in relation to what you do. In this case, he's an elected official. He's going to run, we believe, for another office at some point. How does this work for you? Well, it doesn't.
As John Candy said, have a point.
Right. Look, or do the NASCAR thing. If you're going to do that, wear a full suit that has all these patches from sponsors on it and get paid. I just want to say we come around that turn, and the Tide team really came together for us. And then I'll tell you another thing. Levi's people with those tires, we couldn't do without them. And then, of course, that Burger King follow-up there in that last lap was really, if you're going to – by the way, I just gave out some free advertising. If you're going to make something, again, work, then make it, make it about what you're doing, and ultimately the goal should be getting results for, whatever it is. And we believe the intention is 2028, right? So, or just to stay in the Senate at the very least. Well, how does this work for you? 25 hours straight, yawn. About what? Yawn. Oh, you mean a filibuster? No, it wasn't a filibuster. Oh, then what was it? According to the Babylon Bee, it was meth.
Watch. It's going to be fact-checked.
Yeah,
Remember when the Babylon Bee was fact-checked?
Right, yeah.
During COVID?
Right.
By the way, the Republicans are going to respond next week. It's actually going to be in the House. Representative Luna is going to speak for 25 hours straight, but by proxy.
Exactly. Can we do a talk show by proxy? Hey, we're over here. During COVID, we refused, by the way, to do our talk show by proxy.
Yeah, that's true.
We did.
That's a true story.
Every other show, I think, in the company.
Every show in the company, I believe.
Now, a lot of talk show hosts, national talk show hosts, are from their home or very close to their home.
Right.
Anyway, but during COVID, the company, of course, immediately everybody was working from home, including radio hosts. And we insisted, we said, no, we believe that we can safely manage our social distancing. Because, number one, the production crew doesn't like us. They avoid us. 6 feet? My gosh. That's nothing. But we told them we didn't want to sacrifice the quality of the show.
Yeah. And we heard it. You could hear, the different sounds.
Right.
You could tell the difference in volumes and everything from, when they were home and doing it,
Well, remember the time I had to.
Especially people that were doing team shows,
right? Yeah,
and morning shows. You could hear it, and we just said we don't want to do that. We know what we have here,
right?
And at that point, it was one of the biggest stories that we'll ever cover, and we're not going to have the quality of the technical quality of the broadcast not be there. So
there was because of what was going on with the company protocol and rules during that time. It was. When was this? This would have been November into December. It was Thanksgiving, Christmas. Was it 3 weeks? 3 weeks I was broadcasting from home. Was it 3 full weeks?
Oh,
I
remember. It sucked.
That sucked.
I was here.
I was in my tool closet.
I remember
literally.
That.
I have an indoor tool closet, and it's awesome.
There were tools behind
you. There were tools
that I could see.
Hanging up in front of me. I was taking I took a picture and posted, all my tools on the pegboard and the whole thing.
It was horrible.
But I hate it. Yeah. I would hate broadcasting from home.
So would I.
I like the energy of, again, having a dedicated place where you go and you work. You do your work. And at home, I have a home office. Back then, I wasn't able to utilize it for the broadcast, but I do have a home office still. That's boring. I mean, for me, I like the energy of being here with our crew and all of that. And we didn't want to sacrifice the show.
Well, one of the things for me, and it sort of got reversed because when we first started doing the show, almost 20 years ago. 20 years ago, this July 15th.
Crazy.
You and I have been doing it together. Unbelievable. But I only had like a 2-mile drive in,
yeah.
And you had like 27-mile drive or
exactly,
something like that.
Yeah.
And then it got, when we moved into this, another studio, it got reversed, and then we moved in this one, the same thing.
Right.
That I have a 27-mile drive in, and you've just got a mile or two to get in.
2.2.
Yeah, and I've got 27.4 for me.
Yeah.
But I love it, because
Mm-hmm.
people say, well, you don't have to drive into work every day. I say, you don't understand. That prepares me.
Yeah.
In my mind, when I'm driving, I'm just analyzing everything and going.
For 15 years, same thing with me.
For me, it helps. And look, this is what, you and I've talked about this, that we want to continue to do this as long as we can.
Mm-hmm.
I could retire if I want. I hit maximum Social Security age this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't collect when I was 66 years and 2 months. I waited.
Right.
And I never thought I'd be doing it this long. And you and I have had the talk, because we plan on staying longer than this current contract has. I mean, that's what we want to do. I mean, we want to be here long term. And, you and I have had the talk, and we have a number of talks on it. On the air and off the air. There's really no difference, is it?
No, there isn't.
But I told you, I said, you know why I want to stay? And I said, when we walk out of here every day, and we talked about this last week, we walk out of here every day, and you and I are laughing, smiling, joking, all the way out to our cars. The car door is closing. I can't tell you how many times I'm closing my car door, I'm yelling the last words.
Exactly.
I closed the door, and I went, I don't know if he heard me.
Yeah.
But it just continues, and I said, it is so much fun. And I had the conversation with my family the other day. They were asking me, and they said, you don't want to retire? And I said, absolutely not.
My mom keeps asking me. I'm only 59. I'm a much older 59 than you are, almost 70. And that's, my mom will ask me every time I see her, when are you going to retire? When are you going to retire? When are you going to... I think she worries about me working nights,
Well, I just had my, I go to the doctor because I'm a type 2 diabetic. Every 6 months I go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I ask him, I said, do you see anything in my blood work? And I think I told you that it was my former dentist, who's now a sleep therapist, who told me, well, you might have it beat because of when I sleep. That Neanderthal man would go to sleep, when it got dark. Mm-hmm. So it was 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Stay awake till 10 o'clock, or, stay asleep till 10 o'clock, go out, do a bunch of hunting, do a bunch of stuff, 2, 3 o'clock, go back to sleep.
Yeah, but you need to really quit walking the halls with a bow and arrow.
That's true.
That's
true.
It's not healthy.
And I never had heard anything like that. I said, is that true? He said, yeah. And then when I, talked to my doctor, I brought that up. I said, that's true. He goes, yeah. He goes, I used to sleep like that. He said, so
well, if you look at the elderly, then you get a
shit. Yeah.
My mom will be up at 1 o'clock in the morning watching Fox News. And my dad will, they'll take naps in the afternoon, usually right there in the chair or on the couch, wherever they are. Dad will be 92 in May. Mom is 86. Coming up here in a few days, she'll be 87. And so there are a lot of people, in fact, that listen to our audience. They're retired and everything else, and they will be up later, and they kind of break up their sleep pattern, or it naturally occurs that way, and that's when they sleep. Yeah, that's how they sleep.
I never wanted to stay on the shift, and it just had too much fun. And said, as people asked, don't you want to travel? And I said, well, something, I've done these things. I flew in an F-16 up and took off from Hillsborough Airport in Oregon, and a couple seconds later was above the clouds, upside down, and I could see Mount Rainier through the clouds going upside down in an F-16.
I played with Aerosmith and Clay Aiken.
Hey, you mentioned that yesterday. I didn't know about the Clay Aiken one. And then climbing the mud flows and, looking into the mouth of Mount St. Helens.
Yeah.
And then winning a bunch of international Hobie Cat sailing races because the best sailor in the world, our radio station was sponsoring. It said, you want to do that? And I think of all the things that I've been able to do. I've driven across the country a few times, and it's like, I'd rather do this. I want to talk into a microphone. It's all I've ever wanted to do. I mean, there were other things I did that I liked, but I wanted to do this since probably, I don't know, it had to be 1964, 65, listening to Clint Buellman in Buffalo, New York, and waiting for him to tell us if we had off school because it was a snow day.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, that seems like the coolest job ever. Until I got to that point before we got to computers, and it was a snow day, and you had to do it. And
you have to read off all the closings almost every break.
And the phone never stops ringing. You couldn't even get to before everything got on digital, and it's all now online and all that. And you had to deal with every call you picked up. Is school closed? I'm not an answering service. Listen to the radio. Listen to the radio. Listen. Then I realized, boy, that was a dumb reason to want. I didn't know what happened behind the scenes.
Right.
But that was what really piqued my interest. And just talking in front of a microphone is, I don't know why it's. You got asked one time by somebody in management, what do you guys, what do you want to do? And you said radio.
Yeah.
And you said, well, what about TV? He goes, no, I'm a radio guy. And I'm a radio guy. I'm like you. I'm a radio guy.
One of our company executives sat me down and said, what do you want to do? I said, radio. It's all I've known since I was 18.
Yeah, I don't want to do, podcasting. Yeah, that the same thing. Talking to a microphone.
It's part of it.
I like doing this because you have complete editorial control. You have complete writing control. You have control.
Mm-hmm.
You have control of what you do. If you're on TV, you've got 27 producers telling you what's going on.
I couldn't
do that.
I couldn't be who I am in any other role.
Yeah.
This allows me to be who I am for a living and express all of that. By the way, which is one of the major hurdles for a lot of people going from music radio to talk radio, you have to put it out there. And if, some people don't like doing that.
It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable when you have to go from music radio to doing this. It's extremely uncomfortable because everybody likes you in music radio.
Yeah. I love the idea of, free speech. It's what we were founded on. It's what freedom is, everything. And to me, there's nothing more satisfying. I was doing music radio for the longest time. I was going to go into law enforcement. And then I went to this job, and it was like, I'm better at this than I would be a cop. I'll leave that to people who are much better at that, including my father.
We started this with the whole proxy thing in Congress.
Oh, my gosh.
We'll continue that coming up. 866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Managing time is key. Successful owner-operators know that simply running hard is not enough. If it were that easy, anyone could do the job and expect the profits to roll in. It generally pays to slow down. There is a trade-off in higher costs, not to mention the increased risk for driving fast. If driving slower takes time away from you, you could find some of the ways to get it back. Never take time off during the last 2 weeks of the quarter or the last week of the month, when freight typically is abundant. Sometimes it works to your advantage to look for loads that take you through home rather than to home. The latter can interrupt your revenue stream and require additional time to get back up to full speed again. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carney, and I'm Gary McNamara. So, yeah, the entire thing on proxy that Representative Luna brought up, and that basically has closed down Congress for a week, closed down the House for a week, was to have basically 12 weeks of proxy if you've got pregnant for the husband or wife, if you're the person.
if you're one of the parents.
If you're one of the parents, yes, right. Exactly. And one of the reasons that the Republicans don't want to do it is because they know, well, then we need it for this, and we need it for that. We need it for this. We need it for that. We need it for. It keeps extending, just like it did for COVID when it got to be totally unacceptable, where people just weren't showing up. And a lot of the examples some Republicans were bringing up, people saying, "No, I have a health issue." They were on vacation. They did whatever they, on vacation, and at rallies, doing the proxy vote from rallies and vacations and stuff like that. It's like, no, if you run for Congress, and the other thing is the belief that it's unconstitutional to vote by proxy in Congress. You're supposed to be there. The quorum is supposed to be there, unless there's some type of state of emergency.
Right.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So no matter what you think about the whole proxy thing, whether you think there should be exceptions to the rule or not for Congress, the fact is the Republicans shut down Congress for a week because of it.
Yeah.
They can't even agree on that. When you talk about a reconciliation bill where you're adding all these new tax breaks, and now, as we find out in the administration, the talk is, inside the administration, should we increase taxes on the rich in order to pay for the tax cuts for seniors? I don't know why, but that sounds like a great idea. To pay for the tax cuts for seniors on Social Security, tax on tips, and overtime. And you're going to get pushback from many Republicans, and you're going to get Republicans say, Trump said all taxes will be cut.
Yeah.
And now he wishes to raise them here.
Right.
And, where does this lead it? And then the argument on the other side is, yeah, but if Trump raises taxes on the rich, he takes that away from Democrats.
Right.
Not if it doesn't pass. And if you can't get the reconciliation through on that. So there are so many things that they have to do in this reconciliation tax bill. And there's really no talk about when there is any type of time. Well, yeah, I did see last week someone mentioned beginning of May.
Okay.
That they might get this they might get this through. And so you look at that and you're like, okay, if there's as much infighting on the proxy votes, how in the world are they ever going to get something where you have
continuing resolution? Yeah, I mean, it's a number of things, which is spending, and I get that, but on proxy votes and everything else, it's overall. Again, the problem is that you don't have the margin, and it is Trump's agenda right now. But Trump has to pull them together. I mean, if you're president, that's the way it works. He has to be the whip to get the votes in for what he wants done. But then they have to go back to their home district and answer for it. The thing yesterday was, I don't know. It's beyond frustrating because it just gets me back to square one with the GOP. It gets us back 20 years where we were, the whole Tom DeLay thing where your head almost blew up.
Well, it didn't get to that. It didn't get to that point.
Well, no, but my point is that the fracturing, it hasn't yet. But I can see it from here.
Well,
that's the problem. And if we get to May and reconciliation and we're doing the back and forth between the party, I don't know where it is.
On something where you have 500 moving parts when it comes to tax policy.
Right.
How are you ever going to get that done?
Exactly.
And so when we see, everything that happened yesterday, you look at the I don't put much in those special elections in Florida. They still won by a heavy margin, and Trump was an anomaly in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And that something like that's never going to happen again.
Right.
We have that type of comeback. So if you win by 10, 15, 20 points, you're doing okay. And if you didn't have the greatest candidates, and I don't know, that's what I was reading from a lot of conservatives from Florida who didn't like especially Fine, thought he was a poor candidate.
Right.
And I don't know whether that's true. I'm just telling you what I have read on it because I didn't get a chance. I don't live in Florida. And we've always stated that in a lot of local races, we have to claim ignorance because we don't know what's going on. We're not there. We don't see the commercials. We don't see the interviews, for the most part, that, what they're doing.
Right.
And there isn't that much publicity, especially when it comes to special races like that.
Yeah, yeah.
For Wisconsin, was it Elon Musk's and his unpopularity? Was it abortion? You look at that, for the liberal winning the Supreme Court justice slot, and then you look at it and you say, but look, it was a landslide number, absolutely landslide on voter ID in Wisconsin.
Right. Yeah.
So you look at those ideas that the Republicans have, and that's why we stated it last year, and we were very pleased. I actually said the day before the election, if Trump loses, I have no complaints. I said that. No complaints, because he ran a very, 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 very disciplined and focused campaign. He deserved to win on that.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about the lawfare and everything else.
No,
I know it had an impact.
The campaign earned it.
The campaign earned that victory in 2024.
Yep.
They did exactly what we've always stated Republican candidates should do. Take those issues and pound on them. One of the reasons that we understand Trump's having fun with the 51st state, he's, what was the last one? There's a 51st state. What was the one he was doing the other day? It just popped out of my mind.
Yeah.
No, not
Greenland.
No, just what was the other? There was another. But when he does stuff like that, third term.
Oh, the third term thing.
The whole third term thing.
That's how seriously we take it. We couldn't remember.
Yeah, well, when he I don't care about it. Independents do. Independents like, why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? They don't like that. Independents don't like what they perceive as bullying. I didn't view it as bullying. I viewed it as, stop being stupid, because no Republican wants it. No Republican wants the 51st state, Canada to be the 51st state. No one. Stop talking about it. They have stopped talking about it. Why did they stop talking about it? The polls showed them shut up about it.
Yeah, the internals weren't good.
Right. And on the third term, that's sort of gone away as Republicans have come out and said, well, if you can change the Constitution, you can do it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Almost every Republican they've asked has said that. Well, change the Constitution, otherwise it's not going to happen. And they moved on from that one.
The Babylon Bee lined out 11 ways it could happen.
Yeah, we read them the other day. I could care less. Like I said, the 51st state got to the point of you're telling it was a joke, then it became serious.
Well, by the numbers, it does not work for the GOP.
No, it doesn't. And it was like, stop talking about things like that, especially when it actually ticks off people in the GOP when you're saying something like that, because they don't want Canada as a 51st state. You just do the basic numbers. It's like, no, we don't want it. When would we win another election if Canada was a 51st state?
Right.
And it's something that's extremely serious.
Right.
So if you're joking about it, stop joking. One joke is fine. To be talking about it, it's a very serious situation of what's going on and what might happen tomorrow. We've seen the stock market. Did you see the manufacturing report for March?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, not good. Not good.
Man, after the first tariffs have been implemented, not good. Not good at all. And, it was pointed out, a lot of people pointed out, economists pointed out yesterday, and I mean conservative economists, even if it would work, and this is how you have to look at it, even if you could move, that the tariffs would force manufacturing into the United States, it'd take 5 to 10 years to do that.
Right.
You couldn't get it done to begin with.
You don't get the win. By then, Trump does not get the win.
Right. You don't get the win, and if prices don't go down, if prices go up. Did you see? I saw it was the agriculture department said, one of the reasons that eggs have gone down? We're importing them from all around the world.
Oh, yeah, Europe.
Yeah,
the European eggs, kind of snooty. Yeah.
But, and gasoline prices. Gasoline coming into work today was the highest I've seen it in a long time.
What'd you pay? Or what'd you see?
It was $3.09.
All right. I paid $2.89 yesterday. Yeah.
$3.09. This is when I came into work. When I was driving yesterday, it was like $2.69. It went up.
I saw two. Well, I only saw one sign. So yeah.
I saw two signs on the way. So and so you look at it and it's like, all right, when are the tax cuts going to pass? Are they going to be able to do this? Are they going to sit there and go, look, we got to do? Could reconciliation be two things? Extend the current tax cuts and then work on everything else down the road. Because they're not on agreement on a ton of stuff in Congress.
It might be that, actually.
And so you've got to stick to what gets you the win. And like I said, when you start doing the tariff thing, you start, again, doing things that aren't pro-growth. You saw the story. We mentioned it from the New York Post article.
Yeah. On Lutnick.
Let me find it here. Just I see they moved. Okay, it was one of the lead stories. Now it's Val Kilmer's death.
I saved it here.
Here it is. Yeah, Trump frustration grows with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick ahead of Trump tariff announcement. Loose cannon with half-baked ideas.
Right.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has become the focus of exasperation inside the Trump administration ahead of the president's Liberation Day implementation of reciprocal tariffs, with one saying the sentiment is so prevalent it is like being a mosquito at a nudist colony. Where do you even start? Lutnick, the hard-charging former CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald and ex-co-chair of Trump's transition team, has rubbed colleagues the wrong way on matters of both substance and style, with critics venting about his recent proclamation that a tariff-induced recession would be worth it. His call for the public to buy Tesla stock and his practice of inserting himself in to policy discussions. He just isn't deliberate enough with his words, like he just can't be promoting certain stocks or saying that if there's a recession, it would be worth it, one source to the White House told the Post on Tuesday.
Right.
He's a loose cannon with half-baked ideas that he just randomly spews on live television, the person added, saying the administration wants Lutnick to think before he speaks. Wow.
But is that how he thinks? Because if he's talking how he thinks, then you got a problem. That's what I was thinking when I read that. Because messaging is key. And there are already too many concerns about that. And you're going to have to be spot on, but you can't say, a recession, it'll be worth it.
Well, it's good to see that this story in the New York Post has, at the conservative New York Post, that if that story is true, it's interesting because they're making the White House is making the exact same points that we made.
Right. Yeah.
That we've been
that's accurate.
That we have been criticized for, by the way.
Right.
And so we wonder the same thing with who said it the other day that raising $600 billion in tariffs is a tax cut.
Wasn't Navarro? Was it Navarro?
Yeah, Navarro said it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Navarro.
Yeah.
And that just got blistered. That got blistered by Republicans.
Right. Well, again, it makes you wonder because if Trump brings these people in, last time he also brought in Larry Kudlow. But not at first. Kudlow wasn't there at first.
And Steve Moore.
Steve
Moore and that's what changed it back then.
Right. Makes you wonder on the whole Lutnick thing. because we hadn't seen that this time around. I hadn't seen that. The only thing we've seen is the concern about Mike Waltz and the whole Atlantic reporter thing on the Houthis. So that's interesting that if it's accurate and true, that the administration is concerned about how he's talking in the media. My greater concern would be how he's convincing the president, what kind of influence he has on the president. That's my bigger concern there. So we'll see. I don't think Lutnick will be going anywhere. The question is, will Trump, like last time, bring somebody else in to add to the mix? Don't know.
What time did that New York Post story come out, you know?
It was yesterday. I don't have the time frame on it. Hold on a second. Let's go to a break. We'll get to it here in just a few minutes. We're late on the break.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, I wondered what the time of is that story, because every time there's a story of what's going on inside the Trump White House, I go right to Truth Social and see if Trump has blasted it.
Right. It was 2:22 Eastern when that came out yesterday afternoon on Lutnick.
And I forgot what he blasted last week as being false, and it was.
Right.
I forgot what the story was, but when Trump blasts it, he knows. And when there's nothing on it, you go, okay, what's going on?
Right.
Because he responds to everything.
Right. It was the New York Times story on Elon Musk and getting, in being in a meeting on national security.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley. I'm Gary McNamara. We did talk about this before because this bill was actually introduced a couple of years ago in San Francisco. San Francisco was launching a new program backed by Governor Gavin Newsome that will issue speeding tickets based on income. Well, that first line technically is not true.
Okay.
They will issue the fines of speeding tickets based on income.
Right.
The Speed Safety System pilot program was signed by Newsome in October of 23 and allows cities across California to use speeding cameras to fine drivers. Those considered lower income are eligible for a steep discount if they receive a speeding ticket. Violations for speeding range from $50 to $500, but individuals with a household income at or below 200% of the poverty level are eligible for a 50% discount. I can see those signs. Do not speed, but if you do, and you're 200% under the poverty level, you get a 50% discount.
Where are the poor people going so fast? Why? Where do they need to be? What's going on with them? Always doing 85 and a 35. What's up with that?
So they get a 50% discount if 200% of the federal poverty level or below. According to the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agencies, indigent persons or individuals who are homeless are eligible for an 80% discount on the speeding ticket.
What about DUI?
I think just for speeding this is.
Well, I mean, shouldn't we expand it?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the idea of speed limits? Safety.
Well,
right? Is it not?
But here's my point. This would be my point. I get a speeding ticket. My local police department then can look at my W-2.
Yeah, right. Your tax return from last year or whatever. However you're going to prove it.
I get a
pay stub.
I get a speeding ticket, and I have to prove my income.
Yeah, right.
To the city.
Because either way, it doesn't matter. You've got to. There's got to be some kind of proof of income. Otherwise, they don't know how to charge you or what to charge you.
So, California still has speed cameras. I thought everybody got rid of them. They started that in Texas, and then it was all gone from Texas. New York, when I lived in New York.
Are they gone?
Not lived in New York. When I would visit New York back 15 years ago, they started them. They're all gone there. Is California the last holdout for speeding cameras?
Wow. I didn't know they still had them.
Yeah. And now they're going to charge you by income.
Which means you have to report all your income.
Right. Do you have to report tips?
Yeah. Hey, Luca, how's it working in L.A. now? Huh? Slow down, would you?
Exactly. $500,000 fine.
Exactly. You thought it was a good deal, didn't you?
The first 60 days of the pilot program, the cameras will be used only to send warnings to speeding drivers and will issue fines after violations start when an individual drives their car more than 11 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Mine goes to 11. Okay. So, again, when you break down this idea of penalties, laws, the enforcement of laws, what's the intention of the law? To slow people down. You have an enforcement to slow people down because of safety. As we always say, safety third. And that's the idea of, the prime example here is a school zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Everybody gets that idea. When it comes to speed limits, we all get the whole school zone thing. So it's about safety. So there should be less of a deterrent if I'm poor to be safe on the road. Is that what they're saying here? It is. Well, if you're poor, listen. Go ahead. Get to where you're going.
Well, here's my question. Again, this goes to the no tax on overtime.
Mm-hmm.
If you're somebody who works 2 jobs in order to take care of yourself and be self-sufficient and not have to be on any government programs because that's how you were raised.
Mm-hmm.
You were raised to do the right thing, earn more money, work hard, and so you're not working the 35 hours. You're working 70, 80 hours a week, so you're making a lot more money, and you get caught speeding, they will charge you based on your income more because you have been more responsible in your life to ensure that you never have to be on any type of government benefit because you were born to be self-sufficient. Your belief is, I'm going to say you were born. Your belief is I was created and to take care of my own life, and I don't want to be on any type of government program, so I work overtime, and now I get a speeding ticket, and because I've done the responsible thing, I will be charged more.
I think actually I have it. Actually, I know why. The Tesla Plaid goes 0 to 60 in 1.99 seconds. Mystery solved. I'm not wrong. What can we do?
Well,
yeah.
Well, how do you prove what you earn?
You have to take in your tax return.
Got to bring in your
pay stub.
Bring in your pay stub or a tax
because
return.
Even a tax return. Let's say you earned money last year, but you got laid off just now. Because if you're unemployed, here's a question. I get pulled over doing 85 in that aforementioned school zone. I would never do that. But let's say you get pulled over for speeding while you're employed, gainfully employed, and by the time it's, you're going to go pay the fine, you've been laid off. I mean, how far you want to take it? Because if you're earning zero, surfer dude living on the couch of his friend.
Whatever happened to Sean Hannity's surfer dude?
Yeah.
That was the guy that was collecting.
He's late for band practice. He's, doing 85 and a 55. He makes no money, but he eats well. And the couch is comfy. No, I think I hit something on the Tesla thing. I think that's what it is.
Nothing on. So whatever happened to Sean Hannity's surfer dude?
Yeah, haven't seen anything. We hope he's okay. But if you look at it, it's hard to pay the fine. Well, the whole point of the fine is to be a deterrent.
Wait a minute, was that Sean? Yeah, that was Sean.
Sean had him on.
Yeah, because Sean. Yeah. But was he on Hannity? Oh, wait a minute.
What?
Was he? Was Jesse Waters interviewed him first on Bill O'Reilly?
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Then he did an interview with Sean Hannity.
Right, he was on and Sean offered him, said, "I can get you a job," and
like an $80,000 a year trucking job, right?
Right,
That's what it was.
Yeah. And his answer was, "Oh, no." I think that was a direct quote, actually. I think that was verbatim. Come on, Sean. Dude. No. It's, again, saying that, well, we don't need a deterrent for people who are broke or poor. It's a working mom. Come on. Well, the whole idea for the speed limit is safety. And
Jason Greenslate.
Is that his name?
Yes.
All right. I don't think I ever learned that.
Food Stamp Surfer.
That's got to be the name of his band, the Food Stamp Surfers.
It was Food Stamp Surfer, Lobster Boy.
Lobster Boy, yeah.
Pot smoking, babe hunting surfer bro.
All right.
Still taking welfare.
Huh.
What year was this? Okay, they don't have.
Goes back a ways though.
Okay,
that's
this
an
goes
update. And this
goes back to 2014. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it goes back 2014. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That was that long ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he's retired now.
Remember? Hold it. Remember he was in the band?
Yeah, that's what he was doing. Yeah.
And we played the song, and then we played one of the songs on the air and said, it's not bad.
That was actually, pretty good. Yeah, well, look, if this band hasn't made it by now, trust me, not going to happen.
Just remember that goes, the lobster-eating food stamp recipient refuses Hannity job offer. Mm-hmm. The saga of a surfing, lobster-eating food stamp recipient continued on Hannity as a 29-year-old refused Sean's assistance to find a paying job. You remember Jesse Greenslate from his interview with Bill O'Reilly's producer, Jesse Waters. This is how long ago this goes. Green Slate was first captured on camera by Fox News while purchasing lobster with taxpayer-funded food stamps, wearing sunglasses and smoking an electronic cigarette on set. Green Slate told Hannity that he hasn't worked in a year for pay, but that he considers his band practice his job.
Yeah, I did too. But then again, I was 14. So,
and did you have a paper out, though?
We actually, when's the first paid gig that I ever played? I was, gig, I was, I think, 15 or 16 before I got paid.
It actually goes back to 2013. I think Sean offered him the job in 2014.
Wow.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's retired now. He's living on, wait a minute, you don't collect Social Security if you never paid in, right?
They got to do update on people like him.
Yeah, right.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Well,
what is Lobster Surfer Dude doing today?
Get Jesse Waters people on the phone. Come on. Just post it on Fox Nation or something, or put it on X.
Yeah.
We need to know.
I do remember looking up his Facebook site, and there wasn't anything on it. This goes back maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
Didn't have anything on it. But yeah, that was just
wow. That's incredible. That makes me think that Elon Musk has already invented a time machine, and we've been through it. That's crazy. That was that long ago.
Who said that about Trump? It was Jonathan Turley. That if they go back in time and do a bunch of stuff, that he could do it. Either
and the Babylon Bee also did as part of the here's how it could work. Third term could work. Go back and change the Constitution. I don't. Look, it's California. They don't care. They don't care about safety. It's not about safety for them. We all know it's about a fundraiser. That's what it's about. But the intent of the law as it's written, the enforcement mechanism is always a deterrent.
Well, but you made a great point that we'll continue on next.
Okay.
866-90 Red Eye.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning.
Hey, you said I made a great point about something.
You did because you said, what about DUIs?
Right.
And again, my initial reaction was to just blow it off. Well, no. Why did I blow it off? It shouldn't be blown off. If you do something wrong and you don't have to pay what the fine is,
right,
because your income is less than somebody else,
right, then
why should you have to have the same punishment or the fine for any other traffic violation?
Well, because if the idea is, let's say it's over the top, it's way over the speed limit, right? Then it
reckless
becomes
driving.
It becomes dangerous. The potential to cause harm becomes greater, right? And then you look at that and say, well, okay, does a poor person cause as much harm? Well, of course they do. Anybody does. Surfer Dude does. Potentially. The idea, again, is you're on the road. You have that responsibility. And if you're broke and can't pay the fine, don't speed.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Always been my rule of thumb.
Well, that would be a successful deterrent for somebody like me. If I didn't have the money.
Right. I can't pay the fine.
Then again, I'm smart enough to understand. Well, I'm an old guy now, so I'm never in a hurry.
I know.
I set it at the speed limit, or I set it 2 miles an hour above the speed limit and sit back and go, all right, take me there.
Yeah.
I'm not in a hurry anymore. I used to be in a hurry, but that would keep me, seriously, getting a traffic ticket. And it's actually not the money; it's the hassle. It's the time.
Yeah,
It's actually the time.
Yeah.
You know, if I have to, I got to go to court.
Right.
I just don't want to do that. I mean, to me, that keeps me. Now, I mean, I'm not going to speed anyway, but that would have kept me that would be in my mind. I don't want to speed because I've got caught, I think, speeding. How many? I think I've only got caught speeding once.
In your life?
Where they gave me a ticket. I got a warning one time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a construction zone on a bridge with no traffic.
Right.
And it was normally 45, and it was 35.
Right.
And I was going across like at 47. I just had forgotten.
I'll just say,
and the police officer pulled me
I've gotten
over.
more than one ticket.
I've only got
but
one.
I haven't had a ticket in, I don't know how long it's been.
Yeah, one speeding ticket, 3 murder convictions, but only one speeding ticket.
Yeah, well,
that's
the case is pending. No, it was when we were in Arlington.
I'm a citizen.
Driving.
I'm a citizen, so I get to stay in the country.
Right.
Go ahead.
When we were in Arlington, that's the last.
I remember that.
I was late. It was I didn't tell the officer this. She was very nice. Arlington PD, Arlington, Texas. She was very nice. I was doing 77 in a 65, I think. And she said, if you were doing below 10 miles an hour over, I could give you a warning, but I can't. I said, no problem. My grandmother's funeral, literally, it sounds like the worst excuse ever, but that day, we buried my grandmother. And I was late, and that was the last ticket I ever got. And you said the hassle? I had to drive all the way back to Arlington, to take care of it.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. But that's the concept, and we're just talking about the new San Francisco program backed by Gavin Newsome that will issue speeding tickets, the fines based on your income. Where if you don't make a lot of money, you can get 80% off your traffic ticket fine. The number one thing is you're talking about you get a city parking, or not parking, but a city speeding ticket, and you get a discount. You have to show your W-2. You have to prove your income. Can they get you? They can't get your IRS records, so you have to present that to that in order to get the discount.
It'll probably be like a list. Here are things that will qualify as proof of income, and you can choose one.
Jeez.
Yeah. Stupid.
But why not do it for everything?
Anything.
Why not parking tickets? Why not? Is it just for speeding tickets? Is it for running a stop sign?
Well, any deterrent, any enforcement mechanism is supposed to be the deterrent. In this case, the spirit of the law is safety. Otherwise, there wouldn't be speed limits. Otherwise, we wouldn't have speed limits in school zones.
Yeah. And for me, as I said, it's not even the money, because I remember the last time. It was like 2001, I think, 2000 or 2001. I was heading to Fort Worth, and I got hit on I-30 right after I got out of Arlington, where you got yours.
Mm-hmm.
And they pulled me over, and they gave me the traffic ticket. I was so ticked off. I was running a little bit late and had an appointment. And I remember the next day going right down to take care of it immediately the next day. And I had to sit around an hour before I got and I was already ticked off. And it wasn't even the money, because they said, okay, your ticket, whatever it was, I don't know, $150, or I'm just throwing that out. It might not have been $150. And they said $150, and you have to go to the defensive driving course or whatever it was, or deferred adjudication, pay an extra $50, and you don't have to do anything. Well, I'll pay the $50. My time is more valuable than the $50.
The extra $50, yeah.
And so I paid the $50.
Didn't you have to pay for the course, the defensive driving course? You would have to pay for anyway, right?
No.
No?
No. Not that I remember.
I thought you did.
Yeah, I don't remember having to pay for that, but it's the hassle.
Yeah.
And where I drive in the town that I live in, I will pass when I go home this morning. I will pass probably where we're located here in Farmers Branch. I'll go by at least one cop car just getting to the tollway.
Right.
Then the tollway, maybe there's a state trooper around there once every 2 to 3 weeks, with radar on there. When I get into my town, I'll pass 4 or 5 on the last 6 miles driving down the road to my house, to my neighborhood. I may pass at times 4 or 5 police cars.
2.2 miles door to door, and there's never fewer than 3 here. Never. Between here and my house. Yeah. I'm going into the neighborhood. I'm not on the freeway. So it's a very strong presence. And if I were speeding, you're the only car on the road and you stand out, right? So.
Well, I know, for example, later on today, I'm bringing in, it just passed 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
My vehicle, my second vehicle, my runaround town vehicle, 22 years old, my vehicle I'm driving. 22 years old. I think it just hit 250,000 miles. And I only put on 3,000 or 4,000 miles, but it's a great vehicle. It was a Mazda made in St. Louis. It was when Ford and Mazda were together. Mm-hmm. So I believe, except for auto parts, that vehicle would not be tariffed under rules that may come down later on today. But I bring it in, and now, this is the first time I'm bringing my vehicle in where we don't have to get the safety inspections.
Just emissions only.
Just emissions only, and I think they'll do that today. Now, it doesn't matter because my dealership does everything. I mean, they do it just like they look at it. Every time they bring it in, they inspect it.
Mm-hmm.
I can bring it in a month from now, and they'll do the inspection on it.
Yeah.
But I know with that vehicle, I'm always concerned that, it has the old light bulbs in it and everything else. And I'm like, there's a cop behind me. My car's 22 years old. Are there any lights not working? And yesterday it happened. I'm like, I'm bringing it in 2 days. I'm going to get pulled over for a light or something. And it's like, nope, they didn't bother me because they will pull you over in my town like that for a tail light out or a headlight out. They'll take U-turns. I've seen them take U-turns to do it. Broken windows.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Broken windows.
Right.
And I live in a Democrat town. So, but I find this fascinating.
You should call your congressperson. About all this harassment from the cops.
I'm getting harassed by the coppers.
They're doing U-turns, Jasmine.
Jasmine Crockett.
And then you can share dating tips.
By the way, oh, God, I saw that. I wanted to play it, but she cursed in there.
Yeah.
And, did you see? You can see her with her different accent on her voice. She'll be in Congress. She was in Congress the other day just talking,
And then there's the YouTube version.
Perfect enunciation of it.
Yeah.
And then she gets on it, and she wants to be in the hood when she wants to be in the hood.
Well, I thought it was weird that she was on the floor the other day talking on Capitol Hill. She was on the floor giving a speech, and she said, don't forget to click subscribe and the like button. So that was a little weird.
Yeah, well.
It's this is again deciding who, because the point that they're going to try and make is, or that actually they are trying to make here in California is, well, it has a smaller fine has the same impact if it's the ratio of income. Oh, really? Because what you're telling me is well, they're less dangerous. That's what I get from it. Because they'll say, well, but somebody who is very poor, even the smallest fine can have a big impact. It's supposed to. How does it not apply across the board?
Well, when I was younger, it should have applied to me because I was more of a reckless driver. I don't mean reckless where I would go 100 miles an hour.
Right.
I just didn't. I didn't have the experience as I do now. You're not as defensive as a driver. Mm-hmm. I got in an accident that a person was injured in. Motorcyclist flew over the back of my vehicle. That completely sobered me up. I don't mean that I was drunk, but it made it so when I drove it, I looked at it completely differently because I thought I looked both ways, and I missed the cyclist. And you know what happened? I was a senior in high school, and I was taking courses though, calculus courses at the college for the engineering class there. I was like short a calculus class. So I was taking that.
I'm short a few calculus classes right now.
the last of my seats. So I was driving there and didn't see it. And motorcyclist hit the back of my vehicle. I was crossing. The sun was there. The sun was setting right there. Didn't see him.
Wow.
And went right over the top. And I think got a broken ankle, whatever. I remember going back home, and I was just, freaked out about it. My father said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I just couldn't go to class after that. I'd come back and tell you." "Well, good, you told me. Go back to class. Get back in the car, take the car back, go back." Right on the horse again. That's Dad.
There you go. Tell the hospital to release you, and you get back to class.
Yeah. No. Well, no, that I didn't get injured.
No.
But when I saw this story, though, because you made a great point on that. Well, if it applies there, it should apply to every single traffic thing. And then if it applies to traffic infractions, why not to other things?
Well, and then we can extrapolate that out because, again, the argument is that, well, it has the same impact. It's commensurate with their income, right? So it has the same impact. But Elon Musk, who knows what his speeding ticket would be. But let's take that to a different law. Jail time. Well, if you're over 80 and you commit triple murder, based on life expectancy, if we gave you 6 months, this would have the same impact as, let's say you're 83, life expectancy is 83, we'll give you 6 months in jail.
But you had that. You had that with Bragg.
Yeah.
Remember what Bragg wanted to do in New York City?
Right.
That's
what I'm saying, yeah.
If you brought a gun in New York City.
Yeah.
Well, these people are poor.
Right.
And so if
AOC, they're just trying to feed their family.
They're just trying to feed their family, so the shoplifting is okay. I mean, it already exists in Democrat circles.
Right.
This is just another extension of it. But the absurdity went to Bragg, where he said, if you commit an armed robbery, but don't pull the trigger of the gun, we won't charge you with the felony. Right. He had to back off on that because there was community outrage. But understand how these people think. Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way, we'll have more of this coming up. Frank Luntz did it's fascinating, did a focus group with 14 Democrats. And he said, how many people believe that Harris or the Democratic Party should be more centrist or more liberal? Only 4 out of the 14 said more centrist.
Wow.
The other 10, the same or more liberal than they are now.
Wow.
Understand that the insanity comes from the actual voters.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to mention real quickly here, we got just about a minute and talking about automobile and road stuff. Whatever happened, remember, it was a year and a half ago, that by 2026, all automobiles have to have a plan to have by the 2026 vehicles that will be coming out later on this year. Those monitors that look at your eyes to see if you're intoxicated or sleepy, that monitor your eye movements and your facial movements. Whatever happened to that bill? I haven't heard a word about that. Nothing.
No, I haven't. I know there was some movement on some of those mandates for 26 vehicles. I don't know if that was part of it. There was something that goes back, though, several months. It was pre-Trump. It was during the Biden administration. So I don't know. Haven't heard anything. Because here we are in April. 26 vehicles will be out later this year.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything on that. I don't know if that got shot down or not.
And that was in 2022. Does infrastructure bill require surveillance systems? Congress mandates new technology. It's New York State police chiefs. And it don't have a date here. Congress has created a new requirement for automakers. Find a high-tech way to keep drunken people from driving cars. It's one of the mandates with the burst of spending in the infrastructure package. Under the legislation, monitoring systems to stop intoxicated drivers and also tired drivers would roll out in all new vehicles as early as 2026. I haven't seen an update on that story, though. I'll look for it, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that just popped into my head as we were talking.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I don't see any news story on that. Yeah. When I put it in Google, I don't get anything for news.
Right. There's something on Reddit, but you can't trust what somebody posts on Reddit. So.
Yep. 866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I can't find any article on any type of update on whether 2026 vehicles will have monitoring systems of your face and body.
I did see where any administration would have within the law. There is they have some leeway. An administration can extend the deadline.
Right, but I haven't seen anything since last March.
No.
And hear from Google AI, yes, driver monitoring systems, which include cameras that monitor the driver's face and body, are likely to be a standard feature in 2026 vehicles, thanks to a new federal requirement passed as part of the 2021 Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. The technology aims to detect signs of impairment in the driver's face and body, including increased blood flow, heart rate, eye behavior, head position, and respiratory rate. The goal is to improve road safety by detecting and potentially intervening in situations where the driver may be fatigued, distracted, or otherwise impaired. The technology could use breathalyzers, attention-tracking AI, and real-time vitals measurements. I haven't heard anything on that at all from OEMs, or anyone since last March.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley.
Did you see where Hunter Biden will no longer be able to practice law? And I thought, but can he practice breaking the law?
I saw that, yeah. Was
he actually practicing? Was he really practicing?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
All right, let's go to. I thought this was interesting yesterday. Let's go to Karoline Leavitt yesterday.
Oh,
are you ready?
All right.
Introducing someone new to the White House press corps in our new media seat. You ready?
Okay.
Here we go.
In our new media seat today is Mark Halperin, the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Two Way, a new live video platform that builds communities around interactive conversations with leaders and content creators from every subject area. Mark and his colleagues welcome all voices into discussions that are spirited but respectful. They have over 37.5 million video views, over 3.6 million watch time hours since the platform began just last year. This is new media in its truest sense, allowing the people to ask questions, make comments, and be an active part of engagement on the most important issues facing the country and our world.
So he's come full circle, Mark Halperin. Mark Halperin used to work for when we were with ABC Disney. He was ABC TV's political director. And then he moved on and did a bunch of different other things, and then was working for MSNBC and NBC in 2017 when I think at that point, 5 women came forward with sexual harassment allegations against him. And then after that, more women came forward. He did say a few of them were false, but he did admit that he
issued a statement.
He issued a statement, yet he was let go. He was fired from NBC and MSNBC. And the White House may be criticized for this because anytime, even when his book came out a couple of years ago, you had CNN, I think it was Karen Finney, went after him and called him a predator and said this is just horrendous. And when he started his two-way podcast, which is good, it's really good. I mean, knowing he's a liberal, he does a fair job on it. And he does a good, well, I'll say he does a good job. You do a fair job, you do a good job. He does a good job on it. But I knew him back then, and he was a jerk. I dealt with him in a few things. He was a jerk.
Well, I go back to the interview with Ted Cruz. Remember that?
Oh, God, remember that? Yes.
So, you're of Cuban descent. Can you speak Spanish? What's your favorite Cuban food? Do you listen to Cuban music? You're no more Cuban than Mark Cuban. Okay, last part. Maybe he didn't say. Could be embellishing.
But he has come full circle, on this.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the blowback is going to be to the White House for
that's the first thing I
promotion
thought
of
of.
him. Yeah.
They're going to get hit on that. Yeah. So, but
Yeah, he wasn't very nice to people, and I told him one time he was not. So, which I don't think I've ever mentioned before on the air. I've mentioned it off the air, but he does a good job there. But some of the allegations, I don't think there's any ever lawsuits on it, which I was amazed by because when you read it, it's pretty salacious. The stuff that he was doing, the allegations are pretty. Again, the allegations. You're gonna like this one. He said that when he was at the end of working for ABC, he had to go to counseling. It's like, okay, that sounds like ABC Disney.
Yeah. Well, and then legal notes now at The View. I mean,
The View,
it's everything. Wonder if they ever have to go to counseling. So, Joy, you know why you're here. I don't know.
So I just wanted to mention because I just wondered if there's going to be. My question is if there's going to be any blowback.
Yeah.
On it.
I guess I don't know. I guess people would the liberal activist media. I might have already mentioned it. I don't know.
But he's a liberal.
I know.
That's the thing.
That's where he's caught right now. But on his podcast, he's pointed out a number of things that have been accurate.
No, he has. I think that. And who's on it? What's his name? The former presidential advisor is on there all the time.
Sean. Come on.
Oh, Dan Turrentine, I think his name is the Democrat who's on, and then the guy from the Bush administration, right?
No, Trump. Sean Spicer.
Sean Spicer, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sean Spicer's on with him.
Right.
Okay.
Speaking of liberal activist media, I said that one time to Sean in an interview.
Yeah, you did.
I said, the people in that press room, they're liberal activists. They're not journalists. He said, I've never heard anyone phrase it that way. That was years ago. And now everybody uses that. You're welcome. The whole we did that.
I said it before you did.
Yeah, Red Eye Radio. We did that.
Well, the thing is, I tell people, they say, did you or Eric say it? And I went, I don't know. We sort of become one melded mind.
It really kind of melds to one. We probably don't remember because that's kind of how it works. It's the same ideas. But he was kind of, and I thought to myself, given who Sean Spicer is, how did they not come up with that, you know? But now you see, here's what's different. During this term, I could see if that had not been a phrase that had been used, Leavitt would have invented it. She would have brought that, you know, to the table. It's just more proactive. It's a different era than it was 8 years ago, you know? Mm-hmm. So we'll see if they get any blowback. I don't know. But, I mean, speaking of Halperin, I don't know if he's different. But his approach on his podcast is different.
Yes, it is.
Than
his
approach.
Yes, it is.
On the air when he was, you know, wherever he was before.
He does a good job.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for this?
What do you got?
Frank Luntz with the focus group of 15 Democrats asking the question, after 2024, do Democrats want their party to be more centrist or more progressive? He asked 15 Democratic voters what they think. Let's play a portion of it. Here we go.
Okay.
Will the Democrats be better off by picking middle-of-the-road candidates or better off picking progressive candidates? Raise your hands if you say middle of the road. I see 1 hand up, 2, 3 hands up, 4. Okay. CJ, why middle of the road?
Because I feel like too progressive, we've shown that it kind of gives us more roadblocks in the middle of the road.
Colton, why middle of the road?
Kamala didn't lose because she was seen as too centrist. She lost essentially because not only the shortened time frame, the 100 days of the election, because she took very, relative to the center of the country, she took very progressive policy positions in 2020 especially, and that connotation never left her.
Okay, can someone disagree with that? I know that the vast majority of you want the candidates to be more progressive. Deborah, why more progressive?
Oh, I don't believe Kamala lost because of her policies. I think she lost because people were disillusioned and disenfranchised and didn't vote. Because I think people are looking for something different. They're not looking for the same old white guy. At least the Democrats aren't. I mean, Bernie Sanders had a lot of momentum underneath him. He's an old white guy, but he had a lot of momentum underneath him. But yet they went with what they wanted to, not what the people wanted. And that's what was so frustrating about since in that decade. And now there's the consequences of that, of going that way, of always middle of the road instead of, we want something different. I think it's quite obvious that we want something different, but nobody's listening to us.
April and then Marie, because you're both nodding your heads. Why is Deborah correct?
Well, I don't think Kamala Harris was progressive at all in her policies. I think that the people didn't get the chance to vote, and Biden's policies on Palestine are a big reason why a lot of voters did not vote for her.
Marie, why do we need more progressive candidates from the Democrats?
Because right now we don't have any. Like we're at a loss. Like I want Pete Buttigieg.
We need change, not thoughts and prayers.
Somebody else.
What the hell did that mean?
I think the problem is messaging more than anything. Not so much whether they're progressive or middle of the road. I think the Democrats are all for the same kinds of policies, but the Republicans seize on the messaging and they win with it every time because they tap into something in Americans that the Democrats have never been able to do. And
I can end it there because it doesn't change throughout the rest of it. It's the same thing. They don't say anything.
No issues. I didn't hear any issues.
They don't say anything at all. And as we said, a long time ago, we would get this response from listeners who would say, the problem is government doesn't respond to what we want. And you and I always said, no, they're responding to exactly what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Democrats aren't responding to what Republicans want. Liberals aren't responding to what conservatives want. But there are politicians, when you look at it, Nancy Pelosi keeps getting elected and promoting insane ideas because the people that vote for her are insane liberals on the ideas.
Right.
And they don't get it. And so you sit and you look at the Congress, and all these people are saying the Democrats in Congress don't get it. We need more progressive. Well, 99% of them voted for men to compete against women.
Well, and
I mean,
you hear this focus group here, and they're focused on the people, not the issues.
Yeah.
Not the ideas. The closest they came to what, in that audio cut, the closest they came to issues was saying the word progressive. But, again, no issues.
But the majority of them, 11 out of the 15, believe that the Democratic Party is not progressive enough.
Wow.
This is why we say it is so important for Republicans to take those 80-20 issues and Trump to take those 80-20 issues and pound on them. Yesterday with the lowest level, March, the lowest level of border crossings since we've been monitoring it in American history.
Yeah.
They should have ads running.
Yep.
They should have ads running?
Yep. Because nobody is monitoring those numbers. They might see a story here and there. You've got to pound that.
You need to run political ads outside of election season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you need to run things that are effective.
Yep.
You need to point out.
Well, the midterm is important. You need to keep that going. And Trump's agenda needs to carry over, especially in the House, needs to carry over for the GOP next November, and it needs to be solid.
And what I would do is I would play things like Mayorkas saying the border is secure, and I would play Biden saying we've done everything we could.
Yeah.
And I would be blunt and say they lied to you. Look what we did in a couple of months. Lowest level of border crossings ever. They lied to you. Democrats lied to you. Their goal was to make your life harder and worse.
Right.
And you need to run, I think you need to run those political, you need to run them online, social media, TV. You need to promote the successes that you are having across the board. But as I love when they say, well, Republicans just message, it's not the issues. Republicans just message better. We don't know why. We can't tell you how they message better, but they message better. We don't message well enough. It's really not the issues.
Right.
It's all the issues. Just suck on the issues.
Always the issues.
Always the issues. And so it's not the fact that the Democratic members of Congress don't get it. The Democratic voter doesn't get it.
Right.
But they will keep voting for that party. Someone pointed out, well, how can Democrats win the Supreme Court seat with only 26% approval rating right now? Because they'll still vote for Democrats.
Yep.
They don't like it. They don't view themselves as having any other option.
Well,
so they're going to vote, and they're so angry and furious.
Well, and you heard the identity politics there. You know, old white guy, old white guy, old white guy.
Yeah.
Well, where's that going? Straight to the identity politics. That's what they've been doing.
Yeah. That's what they know.
Bernie's great, and he is an old white guy, but you keep putting in old white guys, even at the DNC. They went all DEI when they were looking to pick their top people, and they ended up getting two white guys.
I know. And David Hogue was one of them.
Yeah.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. Drivers must always be prepared for a roadside inspection. This means drivers should always have their personal, vehicle, and company credentials organized and ready and having any shipment paperwork such as bills of lading or hazardous materials shipment emergency response information organized and ready for the inspection official. Just an FYI, the top 2 violations written against drivers every year, as well as during Operation Road Check, are log general form and manner and log not current. Both are completely avoidable if the driver keeps the log accurate, compliant, and current at all times. Having the vehicle ready for inspection involves the driver conducting daily inspections and making sure any problems that are discovered are immediately corrected. Vehicle readiness also requires the company to make sure that the vehicle is current on all scheduled maintenance and that the maintenance schedule is adequate. This will make sure the driver is being given a sound vehicle to start with. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller & Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So just to give you the specifics of the story, the Border Patrol detected just 7,181 illegal immigrants attempting to sneak into the U.S. across the southern border in March. The White House border czar said Tuesday, marking the lowest monthly total in records, they say, ever since they've been taking records, which goes back, at least Holman says, to 1984.
Right.
That averages out to about 230 people a day across the almost 2,000-mile border, less than one person per 8 miles of the border. Holman said, I started as a Border Patrol agent in 1984, which was 41 years ago.
Wow.
I cannot recall a single month since then that the numbers have been that low. He said on social media yesterday, the numbers are particularly striking given where things were under the Biden administration, which regularly saw illegal immigrants in a single day more than the Trump administration saw in the entire month. Remember, they had 10,000 people crossing a day.
Yeah.
Experts say the two administrations are a contrast in approaches and a lesson in consequences. The last administration had the Border Patrol releasing millions of illegal aliens into the United States, which caused more and more to come. Thanks to President Trump and his game-changing policies, those days are over. And all the BS that every single Democrat was talking to you, that the problem would not be solved unless their Congress got involved with comprehensive immigration reform,
right,
was a pile it higher and deeper mound of BS.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. All right, let's go right to, this is Fox News yesterday. Brett Baer was on with Bill Hemmer talking about the border numbers that came in from March, the lowest in recorded history. Here we go.
Our voter analysis team went out and found this. 75% of the people said that they supported, that was the single most important factor in their vote. When you're at 75% in America, all right, 50-50 nation, that's Republicans and Democrats and independents alike. And you mentioned the border crossers. In March, 7,000. That's a stunner. And then you get to the headline from the L.A. Times, California-Mexico border, once overwhelmed, now nearly empty. And that's where we are. And we say it a lot, once you fix a problem, people forget about it. But this is a big change.
It's a stunner, Bill. It really is. And for all of the talk, remember, of President Biden saying, I've done all I can do, and the administration and the Biden administration saying you have to have congressional action and a piece of legislation to be able to change the numbers on the border. What we've seen just in a few weeks is the numbers have changed significantly by the actions, executive actions of the Trump administration.
You know, it's interesting as Bill Hemmer's lining out the numbers there. I'm listening, wondering how that 7,000 in March got past Tom Homan.
Well, they were encountered at the border. Those aren't gotaways.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. It's. I remember as a kid in Del Rio, you're constantly aware that you're on the border, right? And there was, I don't know. We didn't have any fear for our safety like people do today with gangs coming across the border. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't know enough about it, right, at that age. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you. But there wasn't that I know with my parents. Otherwise, my dad would have behaved differently, and I probably would have heard something on it. My dad was military law enforcement, chief of police on Laughlin Air Force Base near Del Rio. And it's, again, we would go over into Acuna, across the International Bridge all the time. It was no big deal. Watching how it changed over the years. My buddies from Del Rio that were texting every day. We're on this huge group text, several of us. And some of the guys who still have family in Del Rio, they talk about, during the Biden years especially, it was a lot more dangerous to go back to Del Rio. They didn't feel completely safe. And now you're at a point with Trump coming in, and really they did this inside of 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that to me is astonishing. But then again, I stepped back yesterday and I thought, when I saw these numbers, I said, wait a minute. No, again, like with Doge, this should be the normal.
Well,
Trump didn't have to come in and create new law.
But I was thinking that these numbers have come out. You've got Democrats out there publicly supporting the Venezuelan gang members.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
And this is why it's important, because this all goes back to where we played Frank Luntz in the last half hour.
Yeah.
With the focus group of the 15 Democrats, that 11 of the 15 say, no, we need to be more liberal. Mm-hmm. Not less liberal, not more centrist. Mm-hmm. We need to be more liberal. Mm-hmm. That's the voter. That isn't the politicians. Right. And as we said, the politicians that represent the Democratic Party is the most radical party we've seen in American history with the things that they're promoting. Right. But so are their voters.
Right.
It's not that there's a disconnect. They all believe in the same thing. And so that's why we say it's so important. And you could hear Bill Hemmer say, oh, wow, I mean, this is so huge. They got to talk about this.
Yeah.
You got to market the daylights out of this. Yeah. Continually market the daylights out of it, because the numbers come in every month. So it's a story every month.
Yep.
And as you keep getting it down for the next year and a half, you need to promote it, and you need to promote what they said in their own words. I can see the spot right now, and I just, off the top of my head, ad lib, I haven't thought about it at all, except right now. All right? Here you go. Here's what the Democrats said. The border is secure. We can't do anything unless we get congressional approval. Comprehensive immigration reform is not needed. And Trump saying, and have Trump and other Republicans, no, it's not needed. I can do it myself. What you need is a new president. And then the news stories. the lowest ever, the lowest ever, the lowest ever, the lowest ever. And then right after that, with the deep voice guy saying,
"Get your tickets now."
The Democrats lied to you.
Yeah,
they wanted an open border.
Yep.
Biden lied to you. I'll just say the Democrats. Keep Biden out of it because you don't want people. You don't want they're going back to Biden again. Just simply say the Democrats lied to you. Democrats that are in the House and Senate right now lied to you, and you can play a couple of them saying the same thing. Oh, no, the border is secure. We need comprehensive immigration reform. You need to promote it over and over again for the next year and a half. You need to promote the huge victories because you just said it. And this is incredible. I had the same thought yesterday. Nobody's complaining. I was watching this news story, and they're like, oh, yep, and they're building new sections of the wall every single day. There's no complaints.
Right.
It's like, this is normal.
Right.
And remember, just a few years ago, remember the insanity of when Trump tried to do it the first time, and now it's normal.
Right.
The border was a mess a few months ago. It's completely cleaned up, lowest ever.
Well, we can bring in the voter ID law in Wisconsin into this. Part of that is to make sure that you're a citizen.
Yeah, you're right.
You're legal to vote. I would also have a campaign that would, and I think, look, there are things that on shorts on YouTube or TikTok videos, reels, or whatever it's going to be, that kind of approach where you put those numbers up. During the Biden years, every town became a border town. This is how many people were crossing the border every day. And inside of 2 months, the Trump administration did this. And now it's the lowest on record. And again, that audio or that clip of the president, you didn't need new law. You just needed a new president. And you just pound the daylights out of that. By the way, those kind of numbers would go viral. Put that online, and people will share the ad for you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Your money will go a lot further if you have to spend anything. Then make that go viral because people care about it. When you tell people, when you remind people that every town became a border town, even those liberal cities, not that you're going to win those in future elections, but you've got to remind people that you don't have busloads of people coming in anymore, do you? You don't have people flying across the border with that app that they could just jump on. No, your town is more secure under the Trump administration, period. This country is more secure.
And that's, when we talk about in politics, as we said, Trump solved, we said this a month ago because we knew the problem was being solved. So Trump solved this problem. Now it's prices.
Yeah.
Because people move on. Once Bill Helmer said exactly what we said. Once it's solved, it's no longer in people's minds anymore. So you have to keep that in
not
people's
an issue.
minds.
It's not a fear.
Right. It's not a fear anymore.
Right.
It's gone. Problem solved.
Right.
Well, you've got to promote the fact that you solved the problem and they lied to you.
Yeah.
And the members in Congress right now, that's why, you can play Biden saying it, but you can argue the point that the members of Congress right now, you get members that are still in Congress right now that said the same thing, and you play it. You play Mayorkas saying it because he was not liked at all by the American public. And you put all that in there, in their own words, and you find a major sporting event.
Yeah.
You put it on, run it during Seinfeld.
Exactly.
Right during Seinfeld.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
You might not want to run it in the Puerto Rican parade episode, though.
Yeah, I guess there's that.
The one that never got run, remember? I don't know if it runs in. I don't know if it runs
syndication.
In syndication. I don't think did that ever run? Did it run? I can't remember if that ran or not.
I think it ran.
That ran, but
But
they
I
didn't
don't,
put it in syndication.
I don't know if it's in syndication.
I've never seen it in syndication.
Yeah, but you can.
I'll have to check to see if you can buy it. I'll have to check to see if that
maybe
exists.
And you got to get out there. You got to blast this all the time, but you really got to make it viral in the way that videos are viral.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, a lot of those videos that go viral are also wrong. Not, it's sorry, but they are. They'll put this number up there. It's like, but in this case, you've got all the facts behind you. And when you put it in that form, people will do their own fact checking. Is that true? Are those numbers really that low? Is it truly the lowest ever? And that's what you want.
It's like the one you've seen over the last week or so is being posted by people on the right, that the Republican Congress got it through, no taxes on tips, as if they already voted the legislation in.
Right.
And they're being fact-checked by Republicans. Because, look, I'm a Trump supporter. They didn't pass it yet. Don't post things like this that aren't true. It hurts our credibility.
Right.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And what I like is when somebody posts something that they know is false, and then all the comments are there, and they don't answer. And then you see them on other posts where they answer, so they know what they posted is wrong, and they're like, doesn't matter. We think it helps our cause. Well, it doesn't help your cause.
No, it doesn't. It does not.
It doesn't help the cause of Republicans to lie and not tell the truth.
Right.
That's the one thing that frustrates us the most. There is no reason for Republicans to lie on any issue out there.
Nope.
Democrats have to lie. They have to.
Yep.
Because they can't convince the American public that what they stand for on the issues is what the vast majority of the American public wants. So they have to lie. Republicans and conservatives, you never have to lie.
Nope.
So don't.
Nope.
Don't exaggerate. Don't lie. You don't have to. And the fact that some people believe they do, that fries me because I have no idea why they think that.
Right. It takes you back. It takes you backwards anytime you do that.
866-90-RED-I.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-I on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara along with Eric Harley. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. Why? Well, because our show ends in another hour. And after the show is over, we record the entire show and it becomes part of our podcast. It becomes our podcast, not part of our podcast. It becomes the podcast. And also, if for some reason you can't listen to one of our great radio stations that carries us overnights, we stream all 5 hours live right here on our Red Eye Radio app.
Yep.
So,
and thank you.
Do it today. Coming up on the top of the hour, California Democrats reject bills to ban male athletes from girls' sports. And in Colorado bill would classify misgendering or dead naming as child abuse and impact parental rights and custody cases.
Yep. Told you.
This is a point that we're trying to tell you.
Yep.
They're not changing at all.
When they say they're coming after your kids, they are.
Yes.
Believe them.
Yep. And understand it's the majority now of Democrats.
Yeah.
It's mainstream. It's not the radical fringe.
No.
It is the party.
It's the party.
It's the party. They're not going to change on the racism of identity politics, the filthy racism of identity politics, judging people by groups and not as individuals. And they're not going to change on their filthy narrative of misogyny and intimidation and bullying and threatening of women. They're not going to stop.
Nope.
It's what they believe.
Yep.
Tell us where we're wrong.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.